Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Horizon, watching the massive alien station grow larger on the main screen. The station looked like nothing humans had ever built. It was shaped like a giant crystal flower with 12 petals that sparkled with different colors. Each petal was bigger than most human cities. "Captain, we're getting another message from the station," said Lieutenant Amy Parker from her position at the communications console. Her voice was calm, but Jake could hear the excitement underneath. This was humanity's first real contact with alien life, and everyone on the ship felt the weight of history. "Put it through, Amy," Jake said. He straightened his uniform and tried to look like the kind of person who represented all of humanity. It was a big job for a farm boy from Kansas who had joined the space service to see the stars. The alien voice that came through the speakers was strange. It sounded like music mixed with the sound of wind chimes, but the translation computer turned it into words they could understand. "Human vessel, you are cleared to dock at Petal 7. Please follow the guidance lights. Welcome to Kepler 7 Station, neutral ground of the Zilithian Confederation." Jake nodded to his pilot. "Take us in slow and steady. Remember, we're guests here." The docking went smoothly. The alien technology was clearly advanced, but it worked with human systems without any problems. Jake wondered if that was a good sign, or if the aliens were just that much better at building things. 2 hours later, Jake walked through the stations corridors with Ambassador Lisa Carter and her small diplomatic team. The hallways were huge, designed for beings much larger than humans. The walls glowed with soft light that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. "Remember," Lisa said quietly as they walked, "we're here to make friends, not to impress anyone. Just be honest about who we are and what we want." Lisa Carter had been chosen as Earth's first alien ambassador because she was good at talking to people and making them comfortable. She was a small woman with gray hair and kind eyes, the type of person who could make enemies into friends. Just by listening to them, they entered a vast meeting room where 12 different types of aliens waited for them. Jake tried not to stare, but it was hard. Some of the aliens looked like living crystals that reflected rainbow light. Others seemed to be made of flowing water held in the shape of a person. There were beings that looked like giant insects with too many eyes, and creatures that floated in the air without any visible means of support. Not at the center of the group sat 2 aliens who were clearly the leaders. One looked like a mountain of living crystal, its faceted surface reflecting the room's light in complex patterns. The other appeared to be made of silver light that shifted and moved like liquid mercury. "Welcome, humans," said the crystal being. Its voice sounded like distant thunder. "I am Zeth Kalos, Prime Coordinator of the Vorthic people. This is Ilian Vass, Mind Speaker for the Nexari." The silver being's voice was softer, like whispers in Jake's mind. "We have traveled far to meet you. Your species is young, but we sense potential." Lisa stepped forward and bowed slightly, a gesture of respect that worked for most species they had studied. "Thank you for meeting with us. I'm Ambassador Lisa Carter, representing Earth and all human colonies. We're honored to make contact with your confederation." "Please sit," Zeth Kalos said, gesturing to chairs that had been prepared for the human delegation. "Tell us about your people. We are curious about your development and your place in this galaxy." Lisa settled into her chair and smiled. "We're happy to share. Humans come from a planet called Earth, which we've been living on for about 200,000 years. We've been building cities and farming for about 10,000 years. We've had what you might call modern technology for about 500 years. Several of the aliens made sounds that the translation system couldn't interpret. Jake guessed they were impressed by how young humanity was. We've been traveling in space for about 400 years now, Lisa continued. We've built colonies on 47 different star systems, and we're always looking to expand further. We love to explore and learn new things. Now the aliens were definitely making sounds of disbelief. Zeth Kalos leaned forward, his crystal body catching the light. Forgive me, Ambassador Carter, but did you say 47 star systems? Perhaps your translation system has an error? Lisa shook her head. No error. 47 systems, with plans to establish colonies in 12 more within the next 5 years. We build ships fast, and we're not afraid to travel far from home. The aliens looked at each other. Some of them seemed to be communicating without speaking, probably through telepathy or some other method humans didn't understand. YL Ion-VA spoke next, his silver form shifting slightly. This is ... surprising. Most species require thousands of years to achieve such expansion. How did you accomplish this so quickly? We're good at working together when we need to, Lisa said, and we're not afraid to take risks. When we find a problem, we usually find a way to solve it pretty fast. What about conflicts? Asked another alien, one that looked like a giant mantis with purple skin. Surely your species has known war? Lisa's expression grew more serious. Yes, we've had many wars, terrible ones. We've fought each other for resources, for land, for ideas, for religion. We've made weapons that could destroy our entire planet. We've done things we're not proud of. She paused, choosing her words carefully. But we've also learned from our mistakes. We've gotten better at talking instead of fighting. We've learned that working together makes us all stronger. Our wars taught us how to solve problems and how to survive when things go wrong. The crystal being, Zeth Kalos, made a sound like rocks grinding together. You speak of war as if it were education. This is a strange perspective. Maybe it is, Lisa agreed. But it's made us who we are. We're not perfect, but we're honest about our mistakes, and we try to do better. The meeting continued for several more hours. The aliens asked many questions about human technology, society, and culture. Lisa answered each question honestly, explaining both humanity's achievements and their failures. When she talked about human medicine, she mentioned both their advanced genetic treatments and the diseases they still couldn't cure. When she described human technology, she explained their powerful fusion reactors, but also admitted they still relied on simpler technologies for many tasks. As the meeting went on, Jake noticed something strange. The aliens seemed to be listening, politely, but they didn't seem to believe what Lisa was telling them. When she described human achievements, they nodded like adults listening to a child's made-up story. When she admitted human weaknesses, they looked sympathetic but not surprised. Finally, Zeth Kalos spoke again. Ambassador Carter, we thank you for this introduction to your people. The Confederation is always interested in meeting new species and helping them find their place in the galaxy. We would like to offer humanity a partnership with the Confederation, added Ilian Vass. As a junior member, your people could benefit from our experience and knowledge. We could help you develop better technology and teach you about galactic civilization. Lisa was quiet for a moment. Jake could see her thinking carefully about her response. That's a generous offer, she said finally. But humans prefer to make our own choices about our future. We'd be happy to work with you as equals, to trade with you, to learn from each other. But we're not looking for someone to guide us or make decisions for us. The aliens exchanged what were probably meaningful looks, though it was hard to tell with being so different from humans. We understand, Zeth Kalos said, though his tone suggested he didn't really understand at all. Perhaps you need time to consider. Young species often overestimate their capabilities. This is natural and not shameful. As the meeting ended and the humans returned to their ship, Jake could see that Lisa was troubled. What do you think? He asked her in private. Lisa shook her head slowly. I think we have a problem, Jake. I told them the truth about everything. Our history, our capabilities, our achievements, our failures. But I don't think they believed a word of it. 3 months passed since the first meeting on Kepler 7 station. Ambassador Lisa Carter had met with dozens of different alien species from the Confederation. Each meeting followed the same pattern, and it was starting to worry her. Today, she sat across from a group of aquatic beings who lived in water-filled suits. Their leader, who called himself Deep Current Flows, spoke through a device that turned his underwater sounds into words humans could understand. "Tell us about your terraforming projects," Deep Current Flows requested. His suit was clear, and Lisa could see him swimming in small circles as he talked. "We are curious about how young species attempt to change planets." Engineer Kate Williams leaned forward. She was part of Lisa's team, a woman who had helped build 3 of humanity's newest colony worlds. "We've successfully terraformed 15 planets so far," Kate said. "We can change the atmosphere, adjust the temperature, and even create oceans where none existed before." The aquatic beings made bubbling sounds that might have been laughter. "Ah, yes, atmospheric processors. We remember when our species first developed such simple tools, very useful for basic changes." Kate shook her head. "No, not just atmospheric processing. We reshape entire worlds. We can move mountains, redirect rivers, even adjust a planet's rotation speed if needed. Last year, we turned a desert world into a garden planet in just 18 months. Deep Current Flows was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Perhaps your translation system has errors. Moving mountains requires technology that takes thousands of years to develop. You must mean you built some small processing plants." Kate looked frustrated. She pulled out a tablet and showed pictures of before and after shots of New Eden, one of humanity's terraforming successes. The pictures showed a barren rock transformed into a world with blue oceans and green continents. The aquatic leader looked at the pictures politely. "Very nice computer images. Your artists are quite talented. When you have real terraforming to show us, we would be interested to see it." After the meeting, Kate walked with Lisa back to their temporary quarters on the station. "They don't believe anything we tell them," Kate said. "I showed them actual photographs, and they think they're fake." "I know," Lisa said. "It's the same with everyone. Yesterday, the crystalline engineers told me our fusion reactors must be simple chemical batteries. Last week, the flying one said our faster-than-light travel was probably just very slow ion drives." Colonel Ryan Peters joined them in the hallway. He was Lisa's military advisor, a calm man who had fought in the border wars and helped design humanity's newest battle strategies. "I just came from a meeting with their military leaders," he said. "Same thing there. They asked about our defensive capabilities." "What did you tell them?" Lisa asked. "The truth. I explained that our ships are designed for quick movement and flexible tactics. I told them about our soldier training programs and our strategic planning methods. I mentioned that human military doctrine focuses on adaptation and creative problem solving." Lisa waited, knowing there was more to the story. "They laughed," Ryan said. "Not mean laughter, but the kind you do when a child tells you they're going to be a superhero when they grow up. Their general, a big insect creature called Vex Thara, patted me on the shoulder with one of his arms and said that all young species think they're good warriors." The 3 humans walked in silence for a while. Finally, Lisa spoke. "What I don't understand is why they asked us here if they don't want to hear what we have to say." "Maybe they think they're being kind," Kate suggested. "Like adults letting children play pretend." The next day brought another meeting, this time with the Medical Council of the Confederation. Dr. Ben Torres, humanity's chief medical officer, had prepared for weeks. He brought samples of human medical technology and detailed reports of their Achievements. The alien doctors were an interesting mix. Some looked like walking trees with flowers for heads. Others were small, furry creatures with 6 arms each. The leader was something that looked like a giant brain floating in a jar, with mechanical arms for manipulation. "We have cured most cancers," Dr. Torres began. "We can regrow lost limbs, repair damaged brains, and extend human life to an average of 150 years. We've also developed cybernetic implants that can replace damaged organs or enhance human abilities." The brain creature spoke through a mechanical voice box. "Impressive claims for such a young species. We assume you mean you have developed basic surgical techniques and perhaps some simple prosthetics." Ben pulled out a medical scanner and ran it over his own arm. The display showed detailed information about his internal structure, including a cybernetic heart that had replaced his original one after an accident. "This heart has been working perfectly for 15 years, Ben explained. "It's stronger than my natural heart was, and will last for centuries." The tree-like doctors swayed slightly, their flower heads turning toward each other. One of them spoke in a voice like wind through leaves. "We see you have some kind of mechanical device. Our young species often experiment with crude implants. We could help you develop something more advanced." Ben stared at them. "This isn't crude. This is a fully integrated biomechanical organ that interfaces directly with my nervous system. It monitors and adjusts to my body's needs automatically." The furry doctors made chittering sounds. Of course. We understand you are proud of your early attempts. When you are ready, we can show you real medical technology." After the medical meeting ended, Ben joined Lisa and the others for dinner in their quarters. The human delegation had grown tired of trying to eat alien food, so they had brought supplies from Earth. "They offered to fix my heart," Ben said as he sat down with his meal. "They think it's some kind of primitive experiment that might kill me." "The pattern is getting clearer," Lisa said. "They've decided we're a young, primitive species, and nothing we say can change their minds. If we show them advanced technology, they assume it's fake or borrowed. If we tell them about our achievements, they think we're exaggerating." Ryan looked up from his food. "The military situation is getting worse. General Vexthera keeps asking about our real weapons. He thinks we're hiding our actual military technology because we don't trust them yet." "What did you tell him?" Kate asked. "That we don't have secret weapons. Our strength comes from training, tactics, and the ability to adapt quickly to new situations." He just smiled and said that all species claim their warriors are special. Lisa pushed her food around on her plate. She was thinking about the bigger picture. "They're not stupid," she said. "These are advanced civilizations with incredible technology, but they seem to have one blind spot. They can't imagine that a species could develop differently than they did." "What do you mean?" Ben asked. "Think about it. They all developed along similar paths. First they built better tools, then better weapons, then better ships. Then they expanded slowly and carefully. They expect every species to follow the same pattern." "But we didn't," Kate said, understanding. "We developed fast because we had to. Our wars forced us to innovate quickly. Our competitive nature made us spread across the galaxy in a few hundred years instead of a few thousand." "Exactly," Lisa said. "They can't believe we could be advanced in some ways and still be a young species. In their experience, it takes thousands of years to develop the technology we have." Ryan set down his fork. "So what do we do?" "Keep trying." "To convince them? For now, yes. But I'm worried about where this is heading. If they keep thinking we're weak and primitive, they might decide to help us whether we want help or not." The next morning brought a request that made Lisa's fears seem justified. General Vexthara wanted to observe a human military demonstration. He said it would help the Confederation understand humanity's defensive capabilities and find the best way to protect them. Protect us from what? Ryan asked when he heard about the request. That's what worries me, Lisa replied. I think they've decided we need protecting from ourselves, or from other threats we're too primitive to handle. She looked out the window of their quarters at the vast alien station. Somewhere out there, 12 different species were making decisions about humanity's future based on completely wrong assumptions. Set up the demonstration, she told Ryan, but make it a real one. Show them exactly what human military thinking can do. Are you sure? Ryan asked. If we reveal our actual capabilities, it might change everything. Everything is going to change anyway, Lisa said. The question is whether we control that. Change or they do. Ryan nodded slowly. I'll contact Captain Rodriguez on the Defiant. If we're going to show them who we really are, we might as well do it right. As Ryan left to make the arrangements, Lisa remained at the window. She had a feeling that humanity's peaceful introduction to galactic civilization was about to become much more complicated. Captain Alex Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant, watching the massive alien ship position itself in the asteroid field. The Zilithian vessel was called the ZCS Dominance, and it lived up to its name. The ship was enormous, stretching 5 kilometers from nose to tail, covered in weapons that glowed with dangerous energy. Captain, they're hailing us, said Communications Officer Jenny Mills from her station. Put them through, Alex said. He had been chosen for this demonstration because he was known for staying calm under pressure. The son of immigrants from Mexico, he had worked his way up from enlisted sailor to captain through skill and determination. The alien voice that came through the speakers belonged to General Vix Thera, the insect-like military leader of the Confederation. Forces. Human vessel, we are ready to begin the demonstration. Please observe our weapons capabilities first, then you may show us your own. Alex looked at his crew. The Defiant was tiny compared to the alien ship, only 800 meters long. But every person on board was trained for exactly this kind of situation. Acknowledged, General. We're ready to observe. The demonstration began with target practice. The aliens had placed several large asteroids in a line, each one the size of a small moon. The Dominance moved into position with slow, careful precision. Its weapons charged up with a sound like thunder, and beams of pure energy lanced out toward the targets. The first asteroid simply vanished. One moment it was there, the next moment there was only empty space and a few glowing particles. The second and third asteroids suffered the same fate. The alien weapons were incredibly powerful, able to destroy massive objects with single shots. Impressive, Alex said into his communicator, and he meant it. The Zilithian Confederation clearly had weapons technology that could level entire cities. Now you may demonstrate your capabilities, General Vex Thera said. His voice carried the tone of someone who was being polite to a child. Alex smiled. Thank you, General. Lieutenant Chun, bring us to attack position. The Defiant moved forward, toward a cluster of smaller asteroids. Unlike the alien ship, it moved fast and smooth, changing direction quickly, without the slow turns that seemed to be necessary for the larger vessel. Weapons ready, Captain, reported Tactical Officer Sam Parker. Fire, Alex said simply. What happened next was completely different from the alien demonstration. Instead of massive energy beams that destroyed entire asteroids, the Defiant fired precisely targeted shots. Each shot was smaller, using less energy, but placed exactly where it would have the most effect. The first asteroid broke apart along natural fault lines, splitting into perfectly sized pieces for mining. The second asteroid had its surface carved, a way to reveal valuable metal deposits underneath. The third was drilled through its center with surgical precision. The alien observers watched from their command ship. Alex could imagine their confusion. Where the Confederation weapons showed raw power, human weapons showed exact control. "Interesting approach," General Vexthara said. "Your weapons seem adequate for a developing species. Shall we proceed to tactical exercises?" "Ready when you are, General," Alex replied. This was the part that mattered. The tactical exercise would pit the two ships against each other in simulated combat. The Dominants would try to demonstrate the overwhelming superiority it had made. The Confederation, the dominant power in this part of the galaxy. The exercise began with both ships moving to opposite sides of the asteroid field. The rules were simple. Use the asteroids for cover. Try to get target locks on the enemy ship. Avoid being targeted yourself. It was like a deadly game of hide and seek among rocks. The size of mountains. The Dominants immediately took the approach. That had worked for the Confederation for thousands of years. It positioned itself behind the largest asteroid and began a systematic search pattern, using its powerful sensors to scan for the human ship. Alex watched the alien ship's movements on his tactical display. "They're doing exactly what I expected," he told his crew. Predictable search pattern, relying on superior firepower. "Lieutenant Chun, take us into the gravity well of Asteroid Cluster 7. "Sir, that's going to be a rough ride," Chun warned. "I'm counting on it," Alex said. The Defiant dove into a complex region where dozens of asteroids orbited around each other in chaotic patterns. The gravitational forces were constantly changing, making it almost impossible to predict where anything would be from one moment to the next. For most ships, entering such an area would be suicide. But the Defiant had been designed by humans who understood chaos and knew how to use it. Instead of fighting the gravitational forces, the ship rode them like a surfer rides waves. "Contact," said sensor operator Bill Torres. "The Dominance is moving to intercept us." Alex watched as the massive alien ship tried to follow them into the asteroid cluster. The Dominance was powerful, but it was also huge and slow. It couldn't make the quick turns necessary to navigate the shifting gravitational fields. "Deploy the packages," Alex ordered. The Defiant launched what looked like chunks of space debris. The objects drifted away from the ship, looking like broken pieces of metal that might have come from anywhere. The alien sensors detected them, but dismissed them as unimportant space junk. The packages were actually advanced drones, designed to look like garbage, but packed with sophisticated electronics. They attached themselves to asteroids throughout the field and began creating a network of sensors and communication relays. Within minutes, Alex could see everything that was happening in the asteroid field. Every movement of the Dominants was tracked and predicted. The human ship knew where the alien vessel was going before the aliens did. "They're charging weapons," Torres reported, "targeting our last known position." "Which is exactly where we're not," Alex said. The Defiant was already moving through a gap between asteroids that hadn't existed 30 seconds earlier. The ship slipped through the changing gravitational fields like it belonged there. Not the Dominance fired its massive weapons at empty space. The energy beams hit nothing but asteroids, which vaporized in spectacular displays of light and heat. "General Vexthara, your weapons fire was noted at coordinates 127 by 34 by 67, Alex said calmly into his communicator. "However, we were actually at coordinates 203 by 15 by 89 at the time." There was silence from the alien ship. "Then, how did you know our targeting coordinates?" "We've been tracking your weapon system since the exercise began," Alex replied. "Your ship has very distinctive energy signatures when it charges up for firing." This was only partially true. The real answer was that human tactical computers had analyzed the alien ship's behavior patterns and could predict its actions several moves in advance. But Alex saw no need to explain everything. The exercise continued for another 20 minutes. The Dominance tried every tactic that had worked against other species. It attempted to use its superior firepower to force the humans into the open. It tried to predict where the Defiant would go and set traps. It even attempted to use brute force to clear entire sections of the asteroid field. Nothing worked. Every time the alien ship thought it had found the humans, the Defiant was somewhere else. Every time the Dominance charged its weapons, the human ship called out the exact moment of firing and the intended target. The end came suddenly. Alex had positioned his ship behind an asteroid that was slowly rotating. As the Dominance moved into what should have been a perfect firing position, the Defiant's drones activated the packages that had been dismissed as space junk suddenly came to life. They released electromagnetic pulses that interfered with the alien ship's sensors. They projected false images that made the Dominance's computers think the Defiant was in 12 different places at once. They even hacked into the alien ship's communication systems. "General Vex Thera," Alex said, his voice now coming from the Dominance's own speakers. "This is to inform you that your primary weapon systems, navigation computers, and defensive shields have all been compromised. In a real battle, your ship would now be destroyed." A massive alien vessel sat dead in space, its systems offline. The tiny human ship appeared from behind an asteroid, completely undamaged. There was a long silence before General Vex Thera spoke again. His voice sounded different now, less confident. How did you do that?" "We used the resources available to us," Alex replied. "We studied your ship's behavior, adapted to the environment, and employed tactics suited to our capabilities, rather than trying to match your strengths with inferior versions of the same approach." From the observation ships, Ambassador Lisa Carter watched the entire demonstration. She could see the alien commanders talking among themselves, their body language showing confusion and concern. "Did we just make things better or worse?" Colonel Ryan Peters asked her. Lisa watched as the Dominance slowly powered back up, its systems coming online one by one. "I honestly don't know," she said. "But at least now they can't say we didn't warn them about what humans are capable of." On the bridge of the Defiant, Alex Rodriguez looked at his crew with pride. They had just proven that humanity deserved respect in this galaxy. Whether the aliens would give them that respect was another question entirely. The emergency session of the Confederation Council took place 3 days after the demonstration. Prime Coordinator Zeth Kalos stood at the center of the great crystal chamber, his massive form reflecting the worried faces of representatives from 12 different species. "We have a problem," he announced, his voice echoing off the walls like distant thunder. "The humans are not what they appear to be." Around the chamber, alien leaders shifted uncomfortably. The insect-like craft delegates clicked their mandibles nervously. The floating ethereal beings pulsed with agitated light. Even the calm aquatic representatives seemed disturbed, their water suits bubbling more than usual. General Vex Thera stepped forward, his 6 arms gesturing dramatically. "I have served the Confederation for 300 years. I have seen the military capabilities of countless species. What the humans demonstrated was impossible for a species of their age and development level." Mind Speaker Ilian Vass, the silver being who led the telepathic Nexari, spoke with a voice like whispers in the wind. "We have analyzed their claims about expansion across 47 star systems. Our historical records show this level of growth requires at least 2,000 years of technological development. They claim to have done it in 200. "Exactly," Zeth Kalos said. "Either they are lying about their age and development, or they have access to technology and resources they are hiding from us." In the observation gallery, Ambassador Lisa Carter watched the proceedings with growing alarm. She had been allowed to attend as a courtesy, but she was not permitted to speak during the emergency session. Delegate Coral 9 of the Aquatic Federation raised a tentacle. "Perhaps we are overthinking this. Could the humans simply be more talented than we initially believed? The chamber erupted in sounds of disagreement. Clicking, buzzing, humming, and other noises filled the air as different species voiced their objections. Impossible, declared Elder Branch Spreader of the Photosynthetic Collective. Her tree-like form swayed as she spoke. Every species follows the same developmental pattern. First tools, then energy, then space travel, then gradual expansion. No species develops military sophistication before technological advancement. The humans claim to have developed backwards, added Depth Speaker Pressure Falls. They say they learned warfare before they learned proper engineering. This violates every principle of civilizational development we have observed. General Vexthara moved to the center of the chamber. I believe the humans are testing us. They demonstrated capabilities that should be impossible for their claimed level of development. This suggests they are either much older than they claim, or they have allies providing them with advanced technology. What kind of allies? Asked Zeth Kalos. Unknown, but consider the implications. A species appears from nowhere, claims rapid expansion, demonstrates advanced military tactics, and requests equal partnership rather than guidance. This is the behavior of a species that believes it has hidden advantages. Ilian Vass added his thoughts. Our telepathic scans of the human delegation show they believe everything they are telling us. But believing something and having it be true are different things. They may have been deceived by their own leaders about their true capabilities and origins. The debate continued for hours. Some delegates argued that humanity should be given the benefit of the doubt. Others insisted that the humans were clearly hiding something important. But the majority seemed to agree on one point. Humanity was potentially dangerous. Elder Crystal Song of the Harmonic Resonance spoke in musical tones that translated his words. If the humans possess hidden military technology, they represent a threat to Confederation security. If they are working with unknown allies, the threat is even greater. What do you propose? Zeth Kalos asked. General Vexthera's mandibles clicked together as he spoke. Preemptive action. We mobilize the fleet and secure human space before they can reveal their true capabilities. Once we control their territory, we can discover the source of their advanced tactics and ensure galactic stability. You're talking about invasion, said Delegate Coral 9. I'm talking about prevention, Vexthera replied. The humans have made it clear they will not accept Confederation guidance. They insist on independence and equal status. No species achieves that level of confidence without significant hidden resources. In the observation gallery, Lisa felt her heart sink. Everything was going wrong. The demonstration that was supposed to show human capabilities had instead convinced the aliens that humanity was hiding something dangerous. She requested permission to address the council and was granted 5 minutes to speak. Honorable delegates. She began, standing at the speaker's podium. I want to address the concerns that have been raised about my people. The chamber fell silent as all attention focused on her. You believe we are hiding our true capabilities or lying about our development. I understand why you think this. From your perspective, our rapid expansion and military effectiveness don't match our technological age. She paused, choosing her words carefully. But you're making assumptions based on your own history. You assume every species must develop the same way your species did. The truth is simpler than you think. Humans develop differently because we faced different challenges. What challenges could cause such unusual development? Asked Elder Branch Spreader. Competition, Lisa said. Constant, deadly competition. Earth had many different human groups that fought each other for thousands of years. We had to innovate quickly or die. We learned to adapt fast, think creatively, and use whatever resources we could find. Many species experience internal conflict, said General Vexthara dismissively. Not like humans did, Lisa replied. We had dozens of different nations on one planet, all developing technology at the same time, all trying to gain advantages over their neighbors. Every technological advance led to immediate military applications. Every military innovation forced rapid adaptation by everyone else. She gestured toward the assembled delegates. Your species seemed to have developed in relative isolation, with time to perfect each technology before moving to the next step. Humans never had that luxury. We developed everything at once because we had to. Ilian spoke up. Even if this is true, it does not explain your rapid expansion across so many star systems. Same reason, Lisa said. Once we developed space travel, we spread out as fast as possible because that's what humans do when we find new territory. We explore, we claim, we build, we move on to the next place. It's who we are. The chamber was quiet for a moment. Then Zeph Callow spoke. Ambassador Carter, your explanation is interesting, but it does not address our primary concern. Regardless of how your species developed, you now possess capabilities that could threaten Confederation security. You have demonstrated military tactics we have never encountered. You claim rapid expansion that suggests significant industrial capacity. You request equal status despite being a young species. Because we've earned equal status, Lisa said firmly, we're not asking for special treatment. We're asking to be judged by what we can do, not by how long it took us to do it. And that, said General Vexthera, is exactly what we intend to do. After Lisa was escorted from the chamber, the council voted. The result was not unanimous, but it was decisive. The Confederation would take action to secure human space and discover the true source of human capabilities. We cannot allow a potentially hostile species to continue expanding unchecked, Zeph Callos announced. The safety of 12 civilizations depends on understanding and controlling this threat. General Vexthara was given command of the largest military force in Confederation history. 50,000 ships from all member species would participate in what they called the preemptive liberation of human space. The plan was simple. Overwhelming force applied simultaneously across all human colonies. Resistance would be minimal, because humans would quickly realize they could not fight the combined might of 12 advanced civilizations. Once we control their territory, Vexthera explained to his commanders, we can study their real technology and discover their hidden allies. The humans will be relocated to suitable worlds where they can be properly integrated into Confederation society. The fleet began mobilizing immediately. Ships that had never worked together before formed massive battle groups. The aliens were confident that their superior numbers and technology would ensure quick victory. They had no idea they were about to face something completely outside their experience. Humans who had been told the truth was not believed, and who now had nothing left to lose. In her quarters on Kepler 7 station, Lisa Carter sent an encrypted message to Earth. Diplomatic solutions exhausted. They're coming in force. Recommend all colonies prepare for immediate defensive action. She looked out at the massive alien fleet gathering near the station. Thousands of ships, representing the military might of 12 species, all preparing to attack her people because they couldn't believe humans were exactly what they claimed to be. We told them the truth, she whispered to herself. We told them everything. They just refused to listen. The war began on a Tuesday morning, Earth time. 50,000 alien ships appeared simultaneously above 12 human colonies, their weapons charging with deadly light. General Vexthera had planned everything perfectly. Overwhelming force, surprise attacks, quick victory. What he got instead was the shock of his military career. The colony of New Texas was supposed to be an easy target. Intelligence reports suggested it was a farming world with minimal defenses. When the Confederation fleet arrived, they found something completely different. "Sir, the planet is not responding to our surrender demands," reported his tactical officer, a crystal being whose facets sparkled with confusion. "Then demonstrate our power," Vexthara ordered. "Target their largest city with a warning shot." The massive fleet opened fire with enough energy to level mountains. The beams struck the planet's surface and simply disappeared, absorbed by shield generators. They shouldn't have existed on a farming colony. "Impossible," muttered the general. "Those shields require industrial capacity we didn't detect." What he didn't understand was that human colonies weren't built like alien settlements. Every human world was designed to be self-sufficient and defensible. Farmers doubled as engineers. Mining equipment could become weapons in hours. Civilian ships carried military-grade computers. On New Texas, colony administrator Jane Murphy activated the planetary defense network with a simple voice command. "All citizens, this is Administrator Murphy. We are under attack by alien forces. Implement Protocol 7 immediately." Protocol 7 had been practiced by every human colony for decades. Within minutes, the entire planet transformed. Farms became fortress positions. Mining lasers retarded it on incoming ships. Civilian vessels launched from hidden bays, their cargo holds now packed with weapons and soldiers. The aliens had expected to fight a military force. Instead, they found themselves fighting an entire civilization that had been preparing for war. Since the day it was founded, similar scenes played out across all 12 targeted colonies. On New California, shipyard workers turned construction equipment into massive railguns. On New Australia, mining corporations revealed that their ore processing facilities were actually weapons manufacturing plants. Captain Rodriguez, now commanding a battle group of 20 ships, received reports from across human space. "Sir, the alien fleets are taking heavy casualties," reported Communications Officer Mills. "New Alaska just destroyed 6 Confederation cruisers using modified freight haulers." "How many ships do they have total?" Rodriguez asked. 50,000. "Sir, but they're spread across 12 systems, and they're not coordinating well. Each alien species is fighting like they're in separate wars." That was the Confederation's first major mistake. Their fleet was massive, but it had never worked together as a unified force. The crystal beings fought differently than the insect creatures. The floating energy forms used different tactics than the aquatic species. They had overwhelming numbers, but no unified strategy. Humans, on the other hand, had been fighting coordinated wars for centuries. Every human ship could communicate instantly with every other human ship. Battle plans developed on one world were immediately shared across all colonies. When one human commander discovered an effective tactic against crystal-based ships, every human force knew about it within minutes. The turning point came at the Battle of New Jamestown. The Confederation had sent their largest force there, 10,000 ships under the direct command of General Vexthara himself. The human defenders numbered less than 1,000 vessels. Admiral Susan Blake, who had taken overall command of human forces, made a decision that shocked both her own people and the aliens. Instead of defending the colony, she ordered a direct attack on the Confederation's main fleet. "Ma'am, we're outnumbered 10 to 1, protested her tactical officer. "Exactly," Blake replied. "They expect us to defend. They've positioned themselves for a siege. They're not ready for a direct assault." The human fleet struck like a spear thrust at the heart of the alien formation. Small, fast ships slipped between the massive Confederation vessels, targeting command centers and communication arrays. Human tactics that had been refined through centuries of warfare against other humans proved devastatingly effective against aliens who had never faced serious resistance. General Vexthara watched in horror as his carefully planned formation fell apart. Human ships appeared where they shouldn't be, attacked targets he hadn't expected them to reach, and used tactics that made no sense according to everything he knew about space warfare. How are they coordinating so effectively? He demanded of his staff. Unknown, sir. They seem to be sharing information faster than our sensors can track. And how are their small ships penetrating our defensive formations? They're not following standard attack patterns, sir. Every ship seems to be acting independently while somehow supporting a unified strategy. What the aliens didn't understand was that human military doctrine was fundamentally different from theirs. Where alien species fought with rigid hierarchies and predetermined battle plans, humans fought with flexible command structures and adaptive strategies. Every human captain was trained to think like an admiral. Every human soldier was taught to understand the overall mission, the Battle of Nu. Jamestown ended with the complete destruction of General Vexthara's flagship and the surrender of most of his fleet. The general himself was rescued by a human ship, something that confused him even more than his defeat. As the war continued, the pattern became clear across all theaters. The Confederation had superior technology in greater numbers, but they couldn't adapt to human tactics. Every time they developed a counter to one human strategy, the humans had already moved on to something new. More importantly, humans fought differently than any species the Confederation had encountered. When aliens took casualties, they retreated to reorganize. When humans took casualties, they got angry and fought harder. When alien supply lines were threatened, they pulled back to protect their resources. When human supply lines were cut, they improvised with whatever materials they could find. 6 months after the war began, what was left of the Confederation fleet limped back to Kepler 7 station. Of the 50,000 ships that had started the campaign, fewer than 20,000 remained combat-effective. In the ruins of the Great Crystal Chamber, Prime Coordinator Zeth Kalos met with the surviving Confederation leaders. The massive being looked smaller somehow, his crystal surface dull and cracked. "We have lost," he announced simply. "The humans have proven that our assumptions about their capabilities were wrong." "But how?" asked Delegate Coral 9. "How did a young species defeat the combined might of 12 civilizations?" "Because they weren't young in the ways that mattered," said a familiar voice. Everyone turned to see Ambassador Lisa Carter entering the chamber. She looked tired but determined, accompanied by a small honor guard of human Marines. "You asked me to explain this once before," Lisa said. "You didn't believe me then. Are you ready to listen now?" Zeth Kalos gestured for her to speak. "Humans developed differently because we had to," Lisa began. "We told you about our wars, our competition, our rapid expansion. You thought we were boasting or lying. We were just explaining who we are." She walked to the center of the chamber, the same place where the Confederation had voted to attack her people. "You judge species by their technology and their age. We judge ourselves by our ability to adapt and survive. You developed in peace and stability, which made you advanced but predictable. We developed in chaos and conflict, which made us flexible and creative. So what happens now?" asked the broken General Vexthara. "Now you have a choice," Lisa said. "The same choice we offered you before the war. We can work together as equals, sharing our different strengths and learning from each other. Or you can continue believing that your way is the only right way to develop. And if we choose poorly again?" Zeth Kalos asked. Lisa smiled, but it wasn't entirely friendly. "Then you'll discover what humans are really capable of when we stop being polite." She looked around the chamber at the defeated alien leaders. "We told you the truth from the beginning. We explained exactly who we were and what we could do. You chose not to believe us because it didn't match your expectations. We understand that now," Zeth Kalos said quietly. "Good," Lisa replied, "because understanding the truth is the first step toward building something better." 3 years later, Ambassador Lisa Carter stood on the bridge of the joint exploration vessel CSS Unity. watching a new star system appear on the main screen. The ship was crewed by humans and aliens working together, exploring beyond the borders. Of known space dock Captain Rodriguez, now an admiral, joined her at the observation window. The survey team reports 3 potentially habitable worlds in this system, perfect for new colonies. Human colonies or Confederation colonies? Lisa asked. Just colonies, Rodriguez replied. We're past worrying about who builds what where. Lisa nodded, satisfied. It had taken a war and thousands of casualties, but the galaxy had finally learned an important lesson. There were many different ways to be intelligent, capable, and worthy of respect. Sometimes the truth was hard to believe, but that didn't make it any less true.